Okay, we are going to move on then to heresy. I feel like we've sufficiently explained slander.
Heresy.
I don't like heresy.
I like.
Why don't we like Harry?
Why don't we like Harry?
Why don't we like Harry?
Likes heresy.
No, so if you guys don't know, I collect words. And I think heresy just rolls off the tongue.
It usually rolls off of their tongues too as they're saying heretical comments too. Just rolls right off of their tongue as they go. So it's good. That's true. Okay. Heresy, from a Greek word signifying a choice, the opinion chosen, and the sect holding the opinion. I thought this was really fast.
I do have a good quote for you guys. I sent this to Blake and it reminded me while you guys are talking that a faithful person is revealed by those who hate him or her. Are you hated for your faith or ethics? If nobody hates you, maybe you have not displayed Christ openly enough. R.C. Sproul.
Oh, I was like, that sounds like a Vadi Bakum, but you're not yelling it at me so that I feel very small.
No, Vadi Bakum was yesterday.
Yeah,
that's true, but this isn't coming out for a while, so we'll be good.
Oh,
nobody will get
sorry, people. Nope, it's R.C. Sproul. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh snap!
I love that quote.
You just get into a mindset, at least on my part, with all my family. You're just always getting pushed back. Like, you could post the minus thing or minute thing, like a John MacArthur quote that has nothing to do with gifts, tongues, whatever, and bam, you're in a conversation of, do you believe we are demonic because we
yeah. I think that's one of my pastors defined heresy as that too, of also lifting up something higher than what it should have been. So that's your only thing. And so, I believe in continuationism. Therefore, everything I see out there is continuationism.
Right.
And it's not even a cage stage version, because at some point you get out of the cage, hopefully.
Right. Well, you should. But I'm glad that you said continuationism, because if you'd have said cessationism, I would have to be offended and get really angry. No, I'm just kidding. So it's not on here, but actually one of my favorite definitions of heresy is something that goes against orthodox belief. And so I thought that was really helpful to me to explain that, okay, we have 2,000 years of history. We have a very beautifully well-written Bible that has the ability to not translate, but if you're going to try to understand the Bible, you can use the Bible to understand the Bible because it explains itself, right? So it's not difficult. There are portions of the Bible that are more difficult. That doesn't mean that it's impossible. And so we have 2,000 years of church history, and we have all of the scriptures, and so we shouldn't have to reach very hard to see when something is heretical. And so I thought that was helpful, and I think that's helpful too, Patrick. That if you're taking one thing and you're making it salvation, if you're making it a gospel issue, that makes a lot of sense too. Which is what they do with tongues. They say if you don't speak in tongues, then you haven't been saved. So that does make a lot of sense, and I think that's helpful because we hear all the time, you're calling somebody heretical. Where is your evidence that they're doing something that's heresy? And I get that a lot, and I'm like, okay. Do you understand the definition of heresy? Is this something that's been explained to you? Because this doctrine here, where they're saying that it's okay for such and such to happen, and that's not scriptural, it's not biblical, and also it's not something that's orthodox throughout 2,000 years of church history, that's heresy. And so a lot of the pushback that we get is just people simply saying, that's not heretical. That's not heretical. This is a third tier issue. And sometimes the tiers are really just not helpful. First tier, second tier,
I know
third
sometimes
tier.
the tier. Yeah, I want to do more research on that. But when we've posted about the name that heresy, name that heretic, Lauren and I have had to research. We've had to cite. We have to find it, and we listen to not only that little portion, but we go a little bit before, we go a little bit after. We're really careful when we're coming forth with information about their heresy that's out there, and then we're just sharing. And usually not a lot of them, but a few of them we've actually gone from their actual website and we're able to copy and paste straight from there.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a twofold thing. First is this kind of cult of personality, which always reminds me of the song, and it's really catchy. But it's I have my favorite pastors. The pastor that I work for, I think the world of him, and him and I don't always agree on everything either, and so there are questions that get brought in where I give his answer, and then I might say, and there's other perspectives. But I don't like my friends, and especially my pastor, attacked. It's one thing to be
Right.
John MacArthur. It's a different thing to be, Patrick Studebaker's pastor. And so there's wanting your friends to not be attacked, but then there's, I must protect this person, and it's this kind of white knight attitude that we have where we must protect that ministry. And I mean, Joyce Myers doesn't need you.
Right.
She's got her own bodyguards, and I highly doubt that she cares one iota of.
How many employees does she have? 500.
Yeah.
Just in Missouri.
Or one person, telling another person to go home, and my goodness, that's all I saw on Christian Twitter for like 2 weeks. I didn't even see the original clip until 2 weeks later, when I'm like, oh well, that's what we were referring to. Oh, that makes way more sense.
We got so much. We had a pushback on that as women, agreeing with John MacArthur. We made a meme. And I even showed it to Lauren. I showed it to my husband. Like we felt like it was still, we agree with John MacArthur, and we still got pushback. But we got that pushback where they were coming to us. They were personally offended. So we kept saying to her, like, you need to DM or PM us. Like, just we will talk with you. Yeah. And she kept not doing it. Like,
right.
I mean, does anyone honestly care what anybody else believes, as far as like? Right. As far as that, so let's say that you believe that women should be preachers, and a well-known preacher calls them out, and you have 200 podcasts that speak against it. So like we're not taking up arms to then hang this person and burn their bones and spread their ashes out. True. We're not Catholics here. All hate mail gets sent to Patrick at cavetothecross.com.
We leveled up.
Nice. No, seriously, that is a good point. Seriously, why is it this huge deal? Was it really so important that it's got to ruin your whole day?
And that person wasn't even like upset with what we posted. They just
it was a Q&A too. It was small. Give one or two words to this person. Go home. Oh, good. I'm glad that's defined the conversation.
For weeks.
Yes,
it was
so true.
Yeah. And it was a lot of people that actually would say, okay, well, I agree with John MacArthur, but I just think that the way he said this was just this and that and things of that nature. I'm like, okay, he said 2 words. Yeah. That's all. He said 2 words. How are you reading this much into it? Like, at some point, we do have to give people the benefit of the doubt. But it is true that these are things that are small, but they're like blown out of proportion. And that's why we say private message us. Just send us a direct message, because it takes away the pride, and it's not helpful for us. Like, just so you know, if you're listening and you think, well, that's weird, it would be better for our ratings if we let you go. If we just let you go to town, it would boost our ratings, and it would boost our whatever post that we're talking about would keep being boosted. But that's not what we're concerned with. Our concern is sin, and what happens whenever one person comes into a group of like-minded people with a different view is that everybody's going to jump in, right? And it's going to be a bloodbath. So we say, hey, before everybody else jumps on you, private message us. Yes. And that way nobody is tempted into pride. Nobody is tempted into sin. Nobody is sinfully angry or anything like that. And then we can have a genuine conversation and maybe come to, we disagree, but we disagree in love. And that has happened in my private messages where a man actually messaged me and said, you know what, I'm sorry. I was harsh. I do disagree with you, but I deleted my comments because I felt like they were too aggressive and they weren't said in love. And then we had a genuine conversation back and forth about the scriptures, about why a woman shouldn't preach. And he had his own opinion. And at the end of the day, he was like, I disagree, but this has helped me. Thank you for messaging me. And I was like, this has encouraged me. Thank you for being kind enough to message me, polite enough to have this conversation without being angry. Like it refreshed me to just say, okay, I disagree, but this person was disagreeably nicely. That's great.
It takes the pressure off. Like it
does.
It's not everybody's watching, not all eyes on you and that other person.
Yeah.
And I
It just gets
learned
out of hand really
that
quick.
it does. I learned that talking to atheists on Twitter. So if
I can't do Twitter. I need to learn, people.
You're
you
good.
have
You're good.